All right, let's dive into an idea. It's an ancient one, but it could completely change how you navigate your life, right now. The idea is this. What if we started treating wisdom not as some nice-to-have luxury, but as the most essential thing you pack for the journey of life?
So this quote from Diogenes Laertius really sets the stage. He says, "Make wisdom your provision for the journey." I mean, think about that. In a world that's constantly screaming at us to get more stuff, more possessions, he's saying, nope, focus on accumulating something far more certain. And that something is wisdom.
And here's the breakdown, right? On one side, you've got all the external stuff, money, status, you name it. It's fragile, it can disappear in a flash. But on the other side, you've got this internal provision, wisdom. It's stable, it's certain. And here's the crazy part, the part that's almost like a superpower. It actually grows the more you use it. You can't say that about a bank account.
So, that begs the question, right? If that path is so fragile, why are so many of us on it? Let's take a look at just how unstable that path really is.
You know, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus absolutely nailed this. He basically said that if you tie your security to things you can't control, like what other people think of you or the economy, you're signing up for a life of anxiety. You're going to be agitated, fearful, and unstable. It's a game that's rigged against you from the start.
So what's the antidote to all that chaos? Well, it's this idea of inner sovereignty. It's a powerful concept. It just means you practice taking charge of your own stuff, your choices, your mind, your path. You become the leader of your own life, no matter what storms are raging outside.
And look, this isn't just some nice, fluffy theory. Take a real-world example, Marcus Aurelius. We're talking about the Roman emperor here, arguably the most powerful man in the world at the time. He had legions, a massive treasury, but he knew deep down that those were not his real provisions.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? It is good even for an old man to learn. Can you imagine the emperor, even in his later years, is still showing up to class, still trying to learn what he doesn't know? That shows you where his priorities were. His most certain provision was that lifelong pursuit of wisdom.
Okay, so how do we actually build up this inner provision? Because let's be real, it's not something you just stumble upon. It's a practice, something you have to work at every single day. I love this quote. The essence of writing is rewriting. It's a great way to think about wisdom. Nobody writes a perfect first draft. You start with something messy, and you refine it, you iterate, you make it better. Wisdom is exactly the same. You don't just get it once. You work at it, you refine your understanding over and over.
Yeah, the Stoics were all about this. For them, philosophy wasn't an academic subject. It was a daily workout. You read, sure. You journal to clarify your thoughts, absolutely. But the most crucial step, you have to apply it. You have to take these ideas out into the messy, real world. That's the secret sauce that turns abstract knowledge into real, lived wisdom.
And this is such a huge contrast to what you see a lot of today, right? The non-strategy of just hustle, be busy, move fast. But fast to where? It's like driving in circles just really, really quickly. Wisdom is the strategy. It's the GPS. It gives you direction. And let me tell you, direction is so much more important than speed.
And here's a really key point. When you hit an obstacle, when the goal seems impossible to reach, the wise move isn't to adjust the goal, it's to adjust the action steps. It's about being flexible in your approach, not in your destination. You find another way around the wall, you don't just give up and go home.
So, what does all this look like in action? You know, on a Tuesday afternoon, how does wisdom actually show up in our lives?
Well, it really starts with asking yourself one fundamental question. A question that kind of shapes everything that comes after it. What role are you going to play?
Marcus Aurelius had this incredible perspective. He saw all of humanity as working on one big project, or maybe like actors in a giant play. Some people move the plot forward, others get in the way, but everyone's got a part. When you see it like that, it's easier to be a little more patient with people, right? And it's a great reminder to, be grateful for the role you have and to try and play it well.
And for a more modern example, look at President Jimmy Carter. His biggest prayer, his main focus, wasn't about power or status. It was just to live a meaningful life. That's it. He understood that his real provision wasn't being in the Oval Office. It was having a sense of purpose. And that really gets to the magic of wisdom, doesn't it? It's like what Maya Angelou said about creativity. You can't use it up. The more you use, the more you have. Think about that. Money runs out. Possessions break. But wisdom? It's the only provision you have that actually multiplies the more you give it away and put it to use.
Okay, so all of this practice, this focus, it all leads to something. There's an ultimate payoff for making wisdom your provision. Let's talk about that. The first and best victory.
And maybe the most important, most empowering thing to remember about all of this is that it's never too late. Seriously, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 80. You can start packing this provision today. The road is always open.
And what is that victory? Well, Plato said it best, thousands of years ago. The first and best victory is to conquer self. That's it. That's the whole game. It's not about conquering armies or markets or competitors. The real win, the truest strength, is mastering your own mind, your own impulses.
And winning that victory gives you a built-in moral compass. It's actually pretty simple. Wisdom and integrity, they go hand in hand. It comes down to this. If you have to sneak around to do something, or lie to cover it up, or delete the evidence later, yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing it. It's about being the same person in public and in private.
So let's just bring it all home. Here's the core idea. All those external supports we rely on, they're uncertain. They can and probably will let you down. Your job, your money, even your health. But wisdom, that's the one provision, the only one, that becomes more certain, more reliable with every single year that passes.
Which leaves us with one last question, and this one's for you. It's not about some grand plan for the future. It's about right now. What will you pack today? What one small thing, a paragraph you read, a thought you journal, a choice you make with integrity, will you add to your provisions right now? The journey is made up of these daily choices. So, what will you pack?